Oh God.
You're on record now.
Oh God.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Mithrandiel here, and today I'm joined by Scarlette and Archmage.
Hi.
And we are chatting about the spring season 2016 anime haul that we're all enjoying now. So, yeah, we're just going to talk a bit about the shows that we're all watching, shows we're really excited about, shows that we're not at all excited about, and just are basically watching for your benefit. We sacrificed for you. So we'll just kind of jump right in with Bungo Stray Dogs. Bungo Stray Dogs. Archmage, you want to kick this one off?
All right. So Bungo Stray Dogs is a seems kind of like a mystery, investigative, supernatural type anime. We start off the series by meeting the main character who has an abnormal power, and he is invited to then join a group of supernatural beings who work for the government to go and investigate certain supernatural events.
Yeah, it's very Kekai Sensen to me. I got a very strong Kekai Sensen type vibe, like a lot of misfit type characters who have special powers. I like it a lot. I'm digging the characters. I'm digging the animation style. What do you think about that, Stephanie?
I absolutely love the animation style. Bungo Stray Dogs is probably one of the earlier ones where I was catching snippets of the animation and everything, and I had no idea what the show was ultimately what it was about. I just know that I really like the animation style, so I kept tabs on it. And I wouldn't say the first episode was like mind blowing like Erased was,
Yeah.
where it was like hook, line, and sinker. But it definitely was. It was pretty cookie cutter standard. You're just like, oh yeah, this happened and this happened. Like we've seen it rinse and repeat a lot of times at the beginning of seasons. But it was enough with the animation and the diverse cast for me to want to come back for episode 2. Because so far, I think the story is we're getting there, but the writing and the voice acting in it is solid.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the animation quality. We're definitely on par with some of the more higher budget series that are available right now. The characters, as long as they don't start falling into too of a caricature mind frame, I think they'll continue to be good. The main leader of the entire group is absolutely hysterical. I mean, it's you get it right off the bat that he's constantly looking for interesting ways to commit suicide.
Yeah, he's suicidal, but the thing is, he doesn't want to inconvenience anyone. So
exactly.
like he's trying to commit suicide in a way that doesn't impact anyone, and so he's kind of selfless in that way. It kind of prompts him to action.
Their character quirks are definitely going to be interesting, especially with the introduction of all the rest of the cast at the end of the first episode. Mm-hmm. I'm very interested to see what they are. So for me, my verdict on it is I'm reserved just so long as the story doesn't get completely bland and the characters don't fall flat. I think it's going to be a very enjoyable series.
Yeah, I agree. Another one that a lot of people are keeping an eye on this season. I don't think Scarlett. Oh yeah, Scarlett, you got this one too. Joker Game.
I got it in. Don't worry.
Okay, you got it in. Okay. So Joker Game. This one for me is enjoying Genroku, Showa Genroku Rakugo Shinju so much last season, which was more of like a time period piece. This one really stood out to me like that. It's basically about this spy organization in the late 30s in Japan. Kind of the early rumblings of World War II kind of era, Greater East Asia co-prosperity sphere type thing. And you have these 8 spies that have been trained and put through these elite scenarios, and now they're playing this game, this Joker game, basically trying to figure out, who's on their side and how best to basically get information for Japan. And the really funny thing is the main character is a soldier, but he thinks that spies are absolutely cowardly. He's used to the more traditional form of warfare. You see your enemy and you kill your enemy, and then you kill yourself if you're going to get captured by the enemy. And these spies,
two very different schools of thought.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm super intrigued, but I think it's really interesting. What were your thoughts on that, Scarlett?
Honestly, I know I said like it's kind of slow, and by like 10 minutes, I kind of stopped. But Joker Game is definitely one of those like you have to be in a certain mood to watch. I think Joker Game. Joker Game is not going to be one of those in your face, bow, plam, color, fan service,
Yeah, absolutely
swords
not.
anime. Like it's definitely not one of those. But I wouldn't say it's also one of the slower animes. It just needs time to pick up, and I think it's actually going to be really good, and it's refreshing to see a change of just your standard anime to switch over to something historical, and that's going to be thought provoking.
Yeah. What about you, Archmage? What do you think of Joker Game?
So with Joker Game, I really enjoyed the period piece that they did with Showa Genroku Rakugo Shinju, and they definitely capture it here in Joker Game. I think the intrigue that they're presenting is going to be good. I'm still kind of trying to figure out what the motivations are of the main character, or at least what the perceived main character is. But you can definitely see the direction it's going in, and there's a lot of ground it could cover. I want to see where this plot heads. The characters within it are not that strong, I'd say. Their personalities aren't very strong. They're not very distinguishable from each other yet. But with the actual plot itself, the political intrigue, the cliffhanger it leaves off on in episode 1, of course, I think it's definitely going to bring something interesting to the table, similar to the way that Genroku Rakugo did. So I'm excited. It's definitely on my list. I'm gonna be watching it for this season. Absolutely.
All right, so the other series that I think we've really been excited for, and I was talking to Scarlett, we were talking about this, I think it was last week when we talked about the Winter Series wrap up. I Am Sakamoto, or haven't you heard I'm Sakamoto?
Sakamoto.
I'll let you carry this one off, kick us off with this one.
I mean, I don't even know how to define. Haven't you heard I'm Sakamoto?
Yeah.
Like, I Am Sakamoto definitely falls out of the category. I almost want to say it's a satire anime.
Yeah,
it's funny.
absolutely.
It's definitely funny. It's comedical, but it takes everything from every other anime show that's considered cool.
Yeah.
And throws it and projects it onto one main character, Sakamoto, and he does all of it in just a regular setting, and then it makes you realize how freaking ridiculous
it's
hilarious.
Really it's amazing. It's like it's coolest, like just all this stuff. Like watching the opening sequence, I'm like, is this like a Devil May Cry entry? Like everything's so stylish,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
It's, oh my gosh, like I was saying before, like I was so looking forward to this series because I needed something like over the top ridiculous, just just straight comedy, just no like, no holds barred, and Sakamoto is just absolutely living up to the hype what I was expecting.
There's nothing
like
sacred.
there's no, absolutely
There's
not.
nothing sacred.
Nothing is sacred. He's flying through the skies with an umbrella. He's saving birdies. The clouds are parting. Angels are singing. All this stuff. He's doing tribal dances around a fire in a chemical lab. Like it's, oh god, but he is so cool. Like he is just the coolest guy, and you want to be him. And I can tell there are going to be a lot of Sakamoto cosplayers. I just know it. I just know there's going to be a lot of people too who are going to try to pull it off.
The poses! I'm so looking forward to the poses.
Yes, the poses,
amazing.
The window seat pose, the holding the eraser over the head pose. Oh my gosh. So
I think that's wallpaper worthy.
Yes.
And I love it's particularly about Sakamoto. What I love is that most of the reactions in the comedy comes from the side characters that are reacting to Sakamoto. It's not necessarily, I mean, yes, his antics are absolutely hysterical, but their reactions to this and the things that they try to do to him are so amazing.
Yeah. I like, okay, people need to watch it, but it's just hilarious. Like, when basically it's like there are only followers of Sakamoto who don't realize that they're followers yet. Basically, is how somebody phrased it. Like there's no haters of Sakamoto, only followers that don't realize it yet. And that's really kind of theme. Yeah,
I love that.
it's
this.
so true. Like you watch the show and you're like, yeah,
Hilarious.
that's absolutely spot on. That's exactly how it is. So yeah, Sakamoto, definitely a very high performer for me. Um, bringing the laughs, which is required, especially when you consider some other heavier series such as ReZero. So Scarlett, you haven't jumped onto this one yet, right?
Not yet.
Okay, so Archmage and I have seen it. Archmage, what's your thoughts on ReZero so far?
ReZero is I mean, it's kind of the trendy thing right now to do the teleported to another world, particularly fantasy world at this point.
Right.
It's something we've seen done at least a dozen times. It's pretty common. And again, it's because it's trending. Personally, I like it. I like that kind of, real world put into a fantasy world or a game world. I've always been a big fan of stuff like, Sword Art, at least the first season,
Yeah.
Log Horizon, and there are a couple on my list of things that I'm watching this season that are along the same lines. But with ReZero, what they've done is they've taken the main character, made him completely normal, except for the fact that he has the Groundhog's Day power of refreshing to a single point on the day when he gets there. We haven't seen a whole lot of it yet, so I don't know the extent of his abilities, but it definitely is promising. The art or the animation is done really well. The timeline is very consistent, and there's definitely a lot of intrigue there for that one.
Right. And I'll be honest, ReZero lost me a couple of times during the 2 episode, like kind of the hour-long intro. I just kind of fell out, and I watched like 10, 15 minutes, and like go and like get distracted. It could be my ADD, I don't know. But once I got into it, I'm really impressed with the animation. I like the concept, and what's really interesting, you were mentioning like this kind of flavor of the month in terms of transporting characters to a fantasy world. The main character Subaru admits that, right? Like he goes through the dimension warp, and he's like, oh man, I'm in another world, sweet. Like he's like, I've seen this archetype before. And then like he expects
so
all these things. Yeah, exactly. Like he expects these things to happen because of his transportation into this world, and it's just it's really interesting, his self-awareness in that way. But then, and this is where kind of like the drama comes in. I'm not familiar with the light novels, but from what I've read, the series gets really dark, and so I'm really curious to see kind of where that goes in terms of his power, because really that is his only power, right? He's not super strong. He doesn't have magical powers suddenly. He doesn't have any sort of clairvoyance or anything like that,
as far as we've seen.
As far as we've seen, yeah. But if it's just like a regular Joe kind of thrown into this mix of fantasy and magic and warriors, and all he can really do is basically live through this day or this time period over and over again. It'll be interesting if they take the Edge of Tomorrow approach, where like he uses this time to like train or something, or and then every time he like dies and comes back and keeps getting stronger and stronger. Who knows? There's definitely a lot of opportunity there, and I'm excited for it. I like the animation, even though it was a little bit slow to start. I think it'll be one of the heavy hitters this season for sure.
Yep.
Kisniver. Kisniver, what do you think about what do you think about the series so far, Archmage?
I have not seen Kisniver yet, so that's going to be for Scarlett.
Oh, whatever.
Whoever you are.
Whatever. I assign you simple homework, okay? Watch all the anime. That's all I ask.
Sorry.
All right. Scarlett, what do you think of Kisniver so far?
I know we kind of just discussed on it briefly, but the hype for Kisniver was real, especially on Crunchyroll.
Yeah.
So for me, that sets the expectation of the Trigger production company has no excuse to drop the ball on this one. Done.
Yeah, absolutely.
when you float around saying, look at how much, like, look at our awesome animation, we spared no expense. Look at all the A-list voice actors we got on here. Like, you guys actually have no excuse at this point to not deliver on Kisniver. So
yeah, I hear you. I just finished up the first episode. I'm intrigued. I like the concept of them being joined.
by
by
pain.
their pain. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Distributing the pain among all of them is really interesting. I'm curious to see kind of what their supernatural powers are, like their different classifications. Like so far, it seems like the only one who can really fight is Tenga, who's like the kind of like the thug type.
I was about to say, but I think that's personally just like brute force on his end, like
Yeah.
just how he is, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And they also have a play on Seven Deadly. Like when in the anime, they're like, have you heard of the Seven Deadly Sins? I'm like, I have seen that anime, in fact. But so they're kind of playing off of that archetype again. Um, but I'm interested in it. I think it'll be interesting. I do think that the hype is real on it. I didn't catch as much of that hype, so I'm going into it kind of like, oh, cool, like, oh, it's Trigger, so Trigger kind of gives me it, its own level of, hey, I have a certain expectation for the studio and the anime they produce, but um, I don't think I'm as set up for like, oh, this is going to be amazing. But I was pleasantly surprised. I think that it'll be a good one. Um, does it place in my top 3? No, but it's still going to be, at least for now, it seems like a reliable source of entertainment for the coming weeks.
Yeah, I wouldn't say definitely no. I mean, I think it does sit in my top 3 actually, and that's just because like I like the concept.
Yeah.
Generally, when you have these like big groups of cast members, you see powers like BBK
Yeah.
come together. In this
Yeah.
case, it's more just like, oh, pain. Like you haven't seen something or seen these like group shows go down a path like that. My only like complaint about Kisniver is the archetypes. Like you can clearly see who's who, what role they're fulfilling,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like what anime stereotype they
Yeah.
belong into.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting. I hope that they complicate those a little bit. Yeah, because it's like obviously like I mean even when she was like kind of characterizing like seven deadly sins, but it's not quite seven deadly sins now. It's like different because of the modern world. So there's the eccentric head case and the goody two shoes and all this stuff. And it's like you're literally like typecasting them right now.
Yeah.
Like I really hope you're planning on like complicating these characters a little bit and making them a little bit more interesting. Otherwise, like going into situations, it won't be dynamic. Like we'll know exactly what the two goody two shoes will want to do. We'll know exactly what the muscle-headed thug will want to do, and that's not very exciting for the viewer. I don't think so.
Exactly.
I hope they change that up a little bit. Asterisk War season due. Archmage, you're saying it's junk food. What do you mean?
Oh, I mean, it's not highbrow at all. It's
Yeah.
not. You're not going into it looking to be wowed. You basically watch it because it's acceptable and it's comfortable. And I am honestly, at the end of the day, I really like what I classify as junk food anime.
Mm-hmm.
It's stuff again that's really easy to watch. It has a certain flow to it that you expect from a series.
Yeah.
You very clearly see who the bad guys are, very clearly see who the protagonists are. And with Asterisk War, at least in the first season, it was just it's your typical harem anime.
Yeah.
You've got the main character, you've got 3 or 4 female protagonists that are on his side and are totally head over heels for him.
Right.
And he's either A, completely none the wiser, or B, total stand-up guy. But in this guy's case, he's totally oblivious to them. He's so focused on his own agenda that he doesn't really care what the advances of these very pretty chicks are doing towards him. So far in season 2, at least, it's picked up right where it left off. It's still enjoyable enough for me. They're trying to work in this weird background politics thing, I guess. That may make me lose interest because again, this is junk food. I don't want your highbrow stuff in my junk food anime.
Yeah, I enjoyed Asterisk War, but I would totally agree with your classification of it. I think that it's mainly it's something that you're familiar with. You just want to watch something. You're like, oh, I know these characters. They're having conflicts. It's again, it's nothing kind of out of characterization. Like you know exactly what you're getting into. Nothing really to overthink or they keep it simple. For better or for worse.
Standard.
It's standard. It's standard. It's canon. So yeah, I'm keeping an eye on it, but it's definitely fallen kind of with so much new anime coming in, because I've come to expect Asterisk Ward to be that way, it's kind of fallen to the back burner for me. So, and I think it'll stay back there while I catch up on other more intriguing series.
Yeah,
I'm on the same
yeah,
way.
yeah.
At the very least with Asterisk War, the first season, while it was junk food, it was easy to watch. This season so far, with the introduction of all this back end political stuff, I'm just sitting here kind of falling asleep. Honestly,
Yeah.
it's getting boring, and I
Yeah.
don't. I want the pretty action sequences, the interesting specializations of the magic for each of these characters. I don't want you mucking it up with he's got the,
Intrigue and and
yeah.
see, it would be one thing if they started out the series that way, right? Like it would be one thing if like when
Yeah.
you started the series out, you're like, oh, this is really about a lot of intrigue and
Like
politics, like
Joker game.
yeah, like Joker game, exactly. But it wasn't, right. It was like, hey, flashy harem anime, haha, action, blah blah blah, really shiny graphics, and then now they're like, no, we're very serious. Let's talk about all this, and it's like, no, like you've
Stop.
lost your chance. Like you are what you are. Accept it.
And
Continue to entertain us, dance for us, puppet, essentially.
they gave us little snippets of it in the
Yeah.
background in
But not
season
enough to
one,
make
but
any
it was
sense. Not enough to make any
right.
sense
It
or make
was
us care. Like it was
really
very
quickly
light.
abandoned. It was very abandoned so early on that
Yeah.
we totally forgot about it. But
Yeah.
I, thinking back, I'm like, oh yeah, they kind of did do that. But
Yeah.
it's passable. It's not fantastic. It's getting a little boring, and it may end up on my drop list, to be honest.
What will definitely not be getting dropped is My Hero Academia.
Yes.
My Hero Academia is talk about hype. Okay, like Funimation has been all about this series for like the last month and a half, and they've there was even like an advertisement on Facebook or something that got a lot of feedback because it was like rivaling the power level of Dragon Ball Z and blah blah blah. Like they basically called up a lot of classic shonen anime, very very heavily followed shonen anime, and said, "Hey, this is it. Like My Hero Academia is essentially the next big thing." I can understand fans' concerns with that and like kind of their feedback on that, but I gotta say that My Hero Academia definitely has the groundwork to be a very good, long-standing shonen series.
Absolutely. Oh
Uh,
my god.
what
The
what?
amount of stuff
Yeah.
they can do with it is just mind-boggling, and it's set up so well right now. They've used the first two episodes to
Mhm.
just do all setup. Like you don't even know everything about the main character
Mhm.
in the first episode. You don't know anything about the main like uh
All Might.
yeah, you don't
Yeah.
know. Well, I call him Almighty because I'm sure
Almighty.
that's how it's going to be translated. Because All
Yeah.
Might, yeah. Anyways,
Yeah.
so it's like that character you know nothing about
Yeah.
until the very end of episode one, and then it expands so much on it in episode two,
Yeah.
and every individual character, and they're taking a lot of time with it. So as long as they don't rush it too much, it's gonna be up there with like my top action series like Gurren Lagann and stuff. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's got
Yeah.
a potential.
There. Yeah. The sheer volume of what they could do
Yeah.
is, I think, what makes Funimation so excited and gives them the chance to compare them to those big series because you're basically talking about a comic book universe. I mean, there all these different heroes, all these different quirks, these villains, and having a lot of characters could be a hindrance, but if they
Bleach.
treat Bleach, for example, exhibit A through Z, but if they're able to give them the time that these early episodes indicate, I mean, the time that they're taking even on the first character. And it's funny because a lot of people watched the first episode and they were like, man, they're really taking their time with this. Like it's barely covered one chapter of the manga, that first whole episode. And usually episodes book through a couple chapters at a time, like they move pretty quickly. But they're really being purposeful in constructing the universe. And I think as a result, it's going to be a really strong series. So I'm very excited for it. Long running, absolutely. I mean, it's a huge hit in Japan. My Hero Academia is a humongous hit in Japan right now. Shonen Jump, it's like the top performer. It's up there, and so that's part of the reason why Funimation has such high hopes for it because they really think that it can appeal to anime fans and manga fans and comic book fans. Maybe fans who wouldn't traditionally be interested in anime or manga, but that there are enough familiar elements that they're like, hey, you know what? I want to give it a shot. It looks pretty cool. So I'm excited for it.
Absolutely. My Hero Academia. You should be watching.
You should be watching. Yeah. Brought to you by Funimation Now. No, it isn't actually. I apologize if Funimation people are listening. We aren't actually licensed by them. So Twin Star Exorcist. Scarlett, you want to talk a little bit about this?
Twin Star Exorcist, I'm not gonna lie, first episode is pretty cookie cutter. There's not a whole lot world building in here other than the fact that you know that you are dealing with exorcists and they're going around purging demons. Been there, done that, seen it. The duo that's in it as well is also very standard. You have your very cool, calm, collected female character who is experienced, and then you also have your hot-headed brute strength, the yin to her yang, male counterpart who's just a bit of a pervert, so you can have the reasons for fan service in the series.
Oh my, I tripped and fell and landed on your breast.
Boobs. Yeah, no, that's in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, of course.
Boobs.
Of course. Yeah.
So it's pretty standard, not a whole lot of world definition in it so far. You've seen it before where you've got the cool, calm, collected, and then the very, hard, reluctant person, who not necessarily has a whole lot of experience, but just so happens to have so much potential where they could be like the next big thing in the world. So, I mean, it's going to sit on my watch list. We'll see how it goes. First impressions are pretty, keyword tonight being standard.
Yeah.
Is it going to be like, oh yeah, I need to watch this as soon as I realize it's out? No, but if it's there, it's there. I'll see it.
Yeah. And then you have a couple other shows. I was giving Archmage a hard time about not watching anime, but I haven't caught these yet. So if you want to just educate us a little bit about Bakuan and Haifuri as well.
Bakuan is, I actually kind of had high hopes for this one, because when I was first scoping out the spring season for anime, it was like, oh, here's a show about girls who like riding motorcycles, and they're going to go ahead and try and form their own school club. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they can do so much with this anime. It can break a whole lot of molds. It can be something really slice of life and very entertaining. And whatever hopes I was hoping for it to do, didn't do that.
Okay. Does a guy show up and like, let me teach you ladies how to ride, like that sort of thing, or
no, that hasn't happened yet. I'm pretty sure at some point it's going to. But like, if you're a motorcycle enthusiast, you'll get a lot of the jokes that are in here. There's a lot of great jokes about it, but I think it gets lost in translation because like, I think it's written by guys for guys, but delivered by a female cast.
Oh, so like a harem, but like the guy wrote the harem out and said, "Hey, what if a harem made a biker gang?"
So basically, like K-On, but bad.
Yeah. So like you get a whole bunch of different type of girls who are into motorcycles, and they joke like guys, and they give a whole bunch of reasoning like guys, and you got your like innocent type, who's learning about motorcycles. I mean, even at some point when she's learning how to ride the motorcycle is a sexy woman's voice, and the first thing that comes out of her mouth is, "How would you like it if a man's face or a man's crotch was in your face all day?"
What?
Exactly.
Okay, I'm watching this. I'm gonna watch this show because this sounds really interesting to me now. Like, what the hell?
It's odd.
Yeah.
I'm personally, I think I'm done with it. The first episode lost me. I was just like, eh.
So maybe for you, but yeah, that's BAK.
Okay. For research for later on, I'm sure.
For science.
Oh my god. Okay. We will do further research on this so we can have a more objective, ruling from the trifecta here. And then what about Haifuri?
Haifuri was interesting, actually. It was one where I was just like, I'm not sure, but I had watched so many different animes at that time where I was just like, I'm going to break it up with something that seems a little lighthearted. Haifuri's animation style is very like magical girl shoujo, very light, very soft, cute girls, and you kind of throw that magical shoujo like animation feel to the backdrop of an industrial nautical And it's interesting. It's an interesting concept of like, oh wow, look at these cute girls trying to become like the next big sailor thing.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of iffy on this. Like my hopes are that they'll have Haifuri do something different where it's like I'm hoping it'll pull a Madoka, to be perfectly honest, where it looks very shoujo, but like we're just gonna flip this right around because it has the setup for it with nautical, with the nautical battles that they're having and the setup that they're putting it. Like the show could go very dark really quick with a very cute cast.
Yeah.
So you're saying you're hoping it goes more again, like you said, Madoka.
Madoka.
As opposed to say Nonoha.
Yeah, exactly. But I have a feeling that it's gonna go down that way. It's just gonna be like we threw a whole bunch of cute, adorable girls in a setting where you would typically see
Nonoha in the streets, Madoka in the sheets. Okay. We can hope. But asking for a Madoka series is a lot. Like, and we'll talk about this more later, but like, Madoka was such a unique and great series for that reason. I think it stood out to a lot of people, but it's definitely, it's one thing to like set up characters and be like, hey, here are these cute characters, and then basically put them through hell. But the way that Madoka really established that universe is
it's hard to
very purposeful, right? Like you're like from the beginning, like you got a little bit of that sense, but yeah, we'll keep an eye on it for sure. The Lost Village, Archmage. What's up with the Lost Village?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know. I've seen 2 episodes of it, and I don't know. So
okay.
The Lost Village is about a group of people who are, for various reasons, trying to leave society and start over. They're going to a place that is called the Lost Village, where they can basically all work together to create a brand new life for all of them, completely cut off from the rest of the world and all of their respective problems.
Can I just say, the village, Shalmanam, who did it as well?
M. Night Shyamalan?
Yeah.
Shamalama Ding Dong? Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. It sounds exactly like that.
Well, yeah.
Except that in, obviously, the village, they purposely cut themselves off and then secluded themselves intentionally. That's kind of the startup of this one a little bit, but honestly, it's giving off half a Lost feel and half a Higurashi feel, except not as effed up as Higurashi. I'm leaning more towards I'm leaning more towards Lost.
Okay.
So that's kind of the feeling I'm getting off of it. I don't know yet. Episode 2 still gave us like very little information. Mm-hmm. They have a lot of characters. They've made 1, maybe 2 characters front and center, but the rest of them, I don't know who to get invested in right now. And that's kind of taking me out of it a little bit. I'm very reserved about it. I'm on the fence. I'm going to give it maybe 2 more episodes to really grip me.
And then you're like, I don't have time to catch up. To keep you on my radar, there's just too much stuff to watch. Yeah,
and it's all right.
Yeah,
there is a lot of intrigue there. I could see this being a good show. I don't think it has as much potential as the writers are hoping it will, but it might be good for a season, good for good 13 episodes and one off. I don't know. We'll see.
What about Cerberus?
You guys haven't seen any of Cerberus, right?
I saw the poster, which is enough, maybe.
No, it is.
I'm like, okay, let me try. Okay, it's a fantasy epic. Yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, no, that's really all it is.
Yeah, there's probably like an old like knight type character who's like a mentor. There's probably some elf wizard type. Not yet. Okay.
We'll get there. But yeah, it's basically, if you watch the first like 4 minutes of it, you know exactly what type of series it's going to be. Okay. It is very much your vanilla fantasy epic. Main character has a destiny. That's about it. And that's
Destiny. Yes.
So it's and that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a vanilla fantasy epic. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to see if it's any good. Even if it just hits all the tropes, I don't care, as long as they're presented to me in at least an interesting skin.
Yeah.
Great. Awesome. I'm not expecting
junk food. More junk food, right?
More junk food.
Okay.
I'm gonna get
I
fat.
think it's
You're gonna get fat off
season.
spring season.
This season for sure. Oh
I'm
my
gonna get
God.
diabetes off of this damn season.
No, that's only if Haifuri does
Oh, okay.
diabetes.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Oh my
That
God.
being said, though,
Yeah.
I feel like this season, like the spring season, is very like fantasy influence. Like, yeah, you're always gonna get a whole lot of fantasy in anime, but I feel like it's heavier than usual.
Yeah.
There's
season.
a shift. There's such a shift. I'd say
Yeah.
like, this time last year we were looking at the end of the world apocalypse type series.
Yeah. Yeah.
2 seasons later. Yeah, 2 seasons later in the winter we were looking at a lot of futuristic tech-based stuff. Now
Yeah.
we're shifting kind of like last season we got a lot of stuff like Asterisk War, and a few seasons back we had Irregular at Magic High, where it was kind of this mix of tech and magic, which it still
Yeah.
kind of is right now. We've got a few more series like that, but it definitely is shifting towards a more fantasy based.
Yeah.
That being said, like with it being so saturated with fantasy, it's like you've got to step your game up just
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Because if everything that's coming out is about the same, and you have the same archetypes, you have the same tropes, you have the same characters that are coming through, like you got to give us something just a little different.
Yeah.
So
We're going to talk about
I don't put you on
that
a back
next.
burner.
Yeah.
We're
You
going
are
to talk about that next.
with 100.
With 100, which
Yes.
is literally, it is what did I write down? It is a clone of Infinite Stratos. It is like an exact duplicate copy of Infinite Stratos. They have, the main character is a guy in a group full of girls, super harem. They all have their special abilities and stuff where they activate a crystal and they gain like these armors which look identical to the Infinite Stratos things. They have all the same characters. They even have a main female lead named Char.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I watched it, I'm like, I've seen this before.
Yeah.
What am I watching?
What?
Oh, wait, that's called Infinite Stratos.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was done, in my opinion, way better than this. So
Now, was it done? Now, to be fair, was it done better than this because you saw it first, or was it done better than this because you feel like it started better?
Yes, and yes.
Okay.
I mean, it is a cheap knockoff of it's the off-brand cereal.
It's the Marshmallow Mateys to Infinite Stratos Lucky Charms.
Exactly. I'm not going to watch any. I've watched one episode. No, you know what? I'm a big proponent of giving series chances because it may surprise me. I'm going to give it one more episode, and if it doesn't bring anything new to the table, if it brings nothing,
have one more bowl of Marshmallow Mateys. Give it another shot.
Right? And then I'm just going to drop it because I'm not interested in it at all after episode 1.
All right. Netoge. And
Netoge.
You thought there's never a girl online. What's up with that?
All right,
how's that show going?
This follows kind of the trend of sort of pseudo fantasy, but this is more along the lines of sword art, I'd guess. You've got the main character who plays a fantasy online video game. And he's part of a guild. And they go around. He doesn't have a lot of friends outside, super otaku outside in the real world. And he's really, really great friends with his 3 other guildmates, one of which is a girl who is completely obsessed with him and married in game to him, but she's like totally flirty with him, hanging all over him, everything. And it's cute. You can see that, she genuinely does like him. Now, this character, and this was an interesting twist, he fell into the trap of proposing to a girl that he'd been partied with for a while, way back at a few months before this series picks up, and it turns out it was a dude, and it totally shattered his worldview of the internet, and he swore off romances and
you got catfished.
Like oh yeah, absolutely. And but now here jump to the current where they are in this starting off the series. They all decide to have a meeting offline, and it turns out that the 3 other characters, 2 guys and 1 girl who are in his guild, turn out to be 3 girls from his high school. And there's going to be, honestly, I think it's a cute series. I think the characters are likable enough. The idea behind it is interesting. I don't want to talk about it too much because it's best to go in without too much knowledge of it or expectations. It's going to be another almost junk food series. I think it comes to the table with a few interesting ideas, but we'll see where it goes from here. It's definitely a lot more interesting than some of the other series I have. Like the next one.
End Ride?
Roll right now.
Yeah.
End Ride is garbage. It is the bottom of the barrel teleported to another world. Wherever ReZero succeeds, End Ride fails miserably. The characters are completely bland and boring. I was falling asleep halfway through. And honestly, besides that the main character's dad is a scientist to be the MacGuffin to get him into the other world, I couldn't tell you a darn thing about this series because it's just so vanilla. So it's
skip it, drop it, don't even bother. I'm okay. Yeah. So End Ride, ignore.
We're gonna go fast.
Well, just because I'm like looking at this, I'm like, oh my god, so many series to watch, so little time. Yeah. Gundam Unicorn. So that's one I'm watching this season. I am a big fan of the Gundam universe. I loved Iron-Blooded Orphans. I've been keeping up with the series as much as I can, and boy, I'm loving Gundam Unicorn. Really? I like the classic art style. I like the because it takes place in the UC universe. And so after Char's Rebellion, so like you have to kind of if you're into Gundam, you kind of have to keep all these different like segmented timelines in order.
You got to be an OG to understand this one.
Yeah, exactly.
You really do.
You do have to do a little bit of reading. Can't quite jump into it and really understand the depth and the complexities of like the political landscape and the conflicts that are going on, etc. But that being said, if you are a fan of the Gundam universe, or if you're willing to do a little bit of reading and kind of place yourself in that universe, Gundam Unicorn will reward you because the action is great. The characters are, they don't make them like they used to, but Gundam Unicorn sure tries to kind of go back into that world and bring you back with them. So even from the starting,
we're not going to expect 08 MS team from this.
No. I was a big fan of 00, and I was telling Scarlette that too. I really like Gundam 00. But the thing is, like with the UC universe with Gundam Unicorn, like it's a very different type of Gundam series.
I feel more political than pew 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 pew. Attack mechas.
Yeah, like shiny lasers and bigger, better lasers and laser beam swords, etc. Like it's not that. It's more like it's a lot more political. Like, but you get that from the start. Like you get a lot more of that. That world, and you understand that's kind of how it drives itself forward, as opposed to that Gundam Wing, Gundam 00. Or even Iron-Blooded Orphans, like those sort of things. Like I feel like Iron-Blooded Orphans tried to use politics as a driving force, but really it was just an excuse for them to like get into mechs and blow stuff up.
I got so bored of that. I had to drop it.
I mean, they tried to make it. I mean, I'm a big fan of Iron-Blooded Orphans, but I know what it is. Like it's a different kind of Gundam. It's that specific mindset of Gundam series, which is more modern, and more about like the flashiness as opposed to more of that character exposition, and those deep dives that really make you connect.
They shouldn't have named it Gundam. It should have just been its own standalone.
But you can't. I mean, and that's part of the reason why like these different timelines, I think, and why Gundam Universe is so appealing to so many people, because it does have that broad swath. It's like, this is the kind of series I want to watch. Okay, cool. Here are some Gundam series for you. This is the kind of series I want to watch. Okay, cool. Here are some Gundam series for you. So yeah, I'm really enjoying Gundam Unicorn. It's not going to place in my top 3 again because it has a high like entry in terms of like what you need to know in order to go into it and enjoy it, like really enjoy it. But that being said, if you are ready, if your body is ready, then you'll get a kick out of Unicorn. I think you'll enjoy it. What you won't enjoy, at all is Ace Attorney.
Oh God!
What you won't enjoy
I don't
at
believe you
all.
guys were watching that. Like, I didn't
watched
even bother.
I watched episode 1, and it was just I watched. I'm like, I can't even give you an A for effort.
No, you can't. You can't give it an A for Ace. Like, to be honest, like it's just awful. Like,
You
it's
just even watch the trailers and you know that. Come on, guys. Like, you got to
Yeah.
put the
somebody.
fandom just
Yeah.
over aside a little bit from the game. It did not translate well.
No,
Oh.
and that's the thing, is that they literally translated it screen for screen. Like,
Low
there's an
quality.
imager album up there that's literally like screenshot by screenshot compared to frame by frame for the anime, and that's exactly what they did. And it looks worse. Like,
Oh.
it's just, the animation is awful and choppy. It's like somebody, I don't know, it's like a board director walked in and said, "Hey, my son likes playing this game. Let's just make this into an anime. Let's take all the interns and, just throw something together, and all the Ace Attorney fans will love it." They won't. It's awful. It's just a terrible show.
And it's way too late. It's
Oh,
like
yeah,
It is.
so
absolutely.
many years.
Missed that
after.
boat a lot. And so, if it was like, in the heat of Ace Attorney fever, that would make more sense, and it might actually be passable. I mean, even then that would be a stretch, but be more understandable. But the fact that that it's this late and it's this bad, unforgivable. No,
To stop now.
don't watch it. Don't watch it. Don't even start it. Archmage and I did it for you. You're welcome.
I was smart and didn't even do it. Take my
Good for
follow
you.
Scarlett's path.
Follow Scarlett's. And then before we wrap up, we have a couple more. Tanaka-kun and Tonari.
No.
Oh no,
not
Tanaka-kun.
Tonari, so-
Tanaka-kun, but Tonari is the one to watch. But yeah,
so,
Tanaka-kun is always
yeah.
listless. Yeah.
Tanaka-kun is always listless. It's about a kid who falls asleep all the time, basically just suffering from low blood pressure, though it's not explicitly said. And all of his friends trying to get him to not get in trouble.
Okay.
Honestly, if you want that, go watch Tonari no Seki-kun. It is hilarious and does the whole lazy thing a whole lot better.
Is that the one where the kid's sitting in the back?
Yes.
Yes, there was a great AMV of that. I should link
Yes.
that.
It is, yeah.
Agreed.
But the series, way better than Tanaka-kun looks.
Mhm.
I found it just to be boring. Some people may like it. It may just not be my cup of tea, but honestly, I think it's because I have something to compare it to that's way better.
All right, cool. So those are the series that we watched. Obviously, there are a few other shows out there on the spring season that we didn't get a chance to catch. We will try and
Spring
season, yeah. We will try to scoop those out and bring them to you when we can. So top three for me. My number one right now is My Hero Academia, just because the hype is real, and I'm really excited for the universe that they're building. My number two is Joker Game, because I'm a big fan of the period piece and I really like where it's headed. And number three is ReZero. Just because I'm a glutton for emotional punishment, and I hear that it gets really dark, and I'm interested to see what happens to our poor MC as he ventures through this fantasy world with no special powers of his own that we're aware of, with the exception of having to go through the world every day. Archmage, what are your top three?
So I'm going to agree with you. My top number one is My Hero Academia. I'm just looking forward to watching this for however many seasons they decide to go with it. I'm in for the long haul. So yeah, definitely my number one. Number two, going to be ReZero. If it's done right, I think it will be very, very good and go on for probably, I think they can milk it for 2 seasons, depending on where it goes.
Yeah.
And then my number three is going to have to be, haven't you heard? I Am Sakamoto. It's so funny.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right. What about you, Scarlett?
Number one would be Bungo Stray Dogs. I know it's still early for it since it's in development, but you know what? It's definitely piqued my interest. I love the animation in it, the setup in it's really good. And Bungo Stray Dogs versus Kisniver is the characters are not falling to stereotypes. That's why it takes my number one.
Okay.
Two would go to Joker Game. I know I was saying like, it's slow. I'm
Yeah,
not sure if I'm gonna like
Scarlett
it.
was like, I don't know. She watched like 10 minutes. I'm like, go back and watch the rest. And now it's her number two. So.
And now it's my number two, and that actually probably was like of everything I've watched. that had the best cliffhanger of everything for me to definitely want to come back and see it again. So Joker Game takes 2, and then 3 is, haven't you heard?
Sakamoto.
Sakamoto.
You know, I was gonna put Sakamoto as my number 3, but I'm like, you know, it's great. It's great for what it is. It's like, it makes you want to laugh. It's like a great, you know, kind of, you know, reset button for your emotions.
No.
Is it groundbreaking? No.
No.
But, you know, I will say, actually, it is a little bit, because we haven't had a series like that for a few seasons, like a good one.
That's the only
Probably
reason
not since Nozaki-kun, I think, which is
Exactly.
about a year ago.
Gotta love
Precisely.
Nozaki-kun.
And that's why it takes number 3 for me, because it's been how long since we've actually had like a really good comedy, and then just the fact that Sakamoto like takes everything that's supposed to be cool and then just says, guys, no, really, it's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
Let me show you how ridiculous it is.
Yeah.
Just makes it all the better.
I love it. It's so good. All right. All right. So those are our top 3. We'll definitely do a mid-season check-in in a few weeks here to see where things stand. But until then, that's all we got for you guys today. Thank you so much for listening.
Bye.
Bye.